Hi, I'm Andreas and I'm the community manager here at Full Control. We've been dying to share some more news with you about Space Hulk Ascension Edition, and what better way to do it than with the developer diary. This will be the first of 2 dev diaries, and to begin with, Thomas will share some more news about the general idea behind Space Hulk Ascension Edition. He'll also come into some of the more design elements. After that, Adrian will share some thoughts about the visual effects, and lastly, Matthias will run through some melee animations. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm the CEO of Full Control. So, a year ago we brought you Space Hulk, the digital board game, which was a faithful conversion of the board game. During the development and also afterwards, we had a lot of requests of why did you do it as a board game? And Space Hulk Ascension is basically the answer to that question. We're right now really happy to show you the first shots out of Space Hulk Ascension, the video game, which is a way more turn-based role-playing game, as a lot of people would expect out of a computer game. So one of the questions that we got a lot is, what's Ascension, and is this just like a deluxe version of the board game? No, Ascension is essentially a standalone game. But it's not a revolution, it's an evolution into a modern turn-based strategy game. I'll run you through some of the changes that we have. The core spirit of Space Hulk is still alive, but this is a turn-based strategy RPG. We have changed a lot of the rules, we have taken out the dice rolls, we have taken out a lot of the randomness that comes from rolling the dice together with a friend sitting over some cardboard. Some of the examples that I can give you of the rule changes that we implemented are that instead of getting a random amount of command points that you get for every turn, now command points is a fixed amount of extra action points that you get as a buff as you stay close to your sergeant. So he has a command range where as you stay inside, you get extra action points, and if you drift off or you basically split up your groups, then you lose the bonus of being close to the commander and getting additional actions. Actions and action points are still what this drives this game. This is still a turn-based strategy game with action points. So nothing has changed there. What we also changed is the core gameplay experience of playing Space Hulk Ascension. You don't know where the enemies are. You do not see the entire level. Things are inside a fog of war system, so you will only see where you've been and turn on the lights. So you turn on light inside the corridor as you progress in, and this adds a lot of exploration and darkness and horror to the game that wasn't present in the board game. In the board game, you essentially knew where the enemies were. You had the blips, and you knew where they came from in the spawn areas, and you could put Terminators into Overwatch in essential corridors and similar. You don't know where these essential corridors are anymore. You don't know where the Gene Stealers bunch up and wait for you in the darkness. It's when you progress into the Space Hulks and discover them and perceive the enemies, and they start showing up on your auspex, that you see them, and that's when you can react to them. So it is a very, very different experience playing Space Hulk in Space Hulk Ascension. One of the other changes that we have made with Space Hulk Ascension is that we're isolating this down to a PC-only release. This for us means Windows, Mac and Linux on day one. We did this for several reasons, one of them being that most of you actually are on those platforms, and we want to give you the very best experience that is possible. Adrian will run you through some of the visual effects that he's been working on, but we can now fully explore lighting, shaders, and performance in a much more PC-like way than we could do before, where we also had to think about a mobile version for the tablet. If you want to play Space Hulk on a tablet, the Space Hulk the board game is a fantastic option for you, and you can stick with that. Space Hulk Ascension is not going to come to the tablet because it technically uses all these dynamic lights that turn on and off as you progress through the levels. And it's simply not possible to run these kinds of lights on mobile tablets at this point in time. Possibly in the future, but right now it's not. Additionally, we are making Space Hulk Ascension into a single-player experience which pushes on that aspect much more than what we did with Space Hulk, the digital board game, where it's essentially a multiplayer game with a single player component on. This means that we're adding a lot of these things that you would expect from a single-player game, with a scaling AI that goes up as you progress with your team. We have a mission tree that branches out. It matters if you go left and right. You get bonuses. Your squad carries over. So as you survive some members, they will be carried on onto the next mission. But if you die, depending on the difficulty level, you will have to get new Terminators into your squads. So that part really matters again, and delivering a more meta story on top of that. Also, to further the single-player experience, we're adding customization and RPG elements to the Terminators and the squads. For one, you can load out your squad as you like, within a few restrictions of how many commanders and librarians and so on you can use. You can pick and choose between what kind of loadout you want to go with. Weapons are equipable. There is equipment that will enhance the gameplay as you unlock it. As your Terminators level with the XP system, they gain more skills and attributes, perks as you would. You could freely select those and build the squad that you would like. So those kinds of things are possible because we concentrate more on the single-player experience this time around. But back to the core game. The core game, where we changed there is a lot of the rules. We removed the dice mechanics for one. So everything now is either rolled on a percentage scale or is deterministic. And I'll give you a few examples of what it is that we changed, because we kept the spirit alive of the original game. It is still Terminators versus Gene Stealers. It is still a hard game. You will have to progress into enemy territory. So those core essential things around Space Hulk have not changed. But looking at the individual rules and mechanics in the board game, a lot of them were made to make the board game experience really cool with a friend and rolling against each other with dice. That isn't what a video game is about. Video game is a lot about taking the right actions, very few random elements, but being deterministic in things so that you can determine what it is you want to do and have a fair chance of knowing what it is. Adding the unknown as an element into the randomness, but still keeping as much of the random stuff out of it. Tactical options, one of these really essential things. We have added a lot of these options into how you want to play the game, way beyond what the board game has to offer. We've added a lot of weapons, that, for example, combi bolters, combi flamers, combi melta, which have different firing modes. Storm bolters have different firing modes, so you can lay down suppressive fire, you can do burst fire at a lesser accuracy and chance to hit, or you can do the regular shots. And those kinds of things are now giving you an option to play the game in the way that you want to do, and having more choices as you play along. And we really feel that that brings the game to a new level, and we're really excited about those kinds. To counter all your tactical options and the advantages that you would get out of that, the enemies have now been diversified. You will have different kinds of Gene Stealers that you meet. They will have armor plating, some of them, which gives them essentially an additional life that you have to take out. There are variations like flesh hooks, where a shootout and in a close range will grab onto you and drag you into close combat. You have acid moths, which are really acting like the boomers in Left 4 Dead. So if you kill them up close, they will create a toxic cloud around them as they die. And if you're standing inside that toxic cloud, that essentially is the same as getting a flamer hit. And we have other changes, and we're going to show you some of these in some of the videos further on. But it is really giving the game a new life and a different way of playing it, while still keeping the spirit and the core alive. Last but not least, content. We're adding a lot of content into this game. 3 full chapters. 3 full chapters where we have the Blood Angels from the original board game. We added the Space Wolves that were a DLC for the previous game. And we're now also having the Ultramarines in, and essentially the very, very awesome Cyclone missile launcher as a weapon option for the Ultramarines. I'm gonna really enjoy laying devastation on broodlords and groups of Gene Stealers with that weapon. That's not all. We also added over 100 missions into this game, and they are structured in Space Hulk's campaign trees, where it matters if you go left and right. If you pick one route, you will have to divert through the campaign in a different way that if you would take in the left, and you can't backtrace. So that gives a lot of replayability, and it gives you a huge amount of gameplay in this game. If you think that you have 100 levels and some of them take between half and an hour, you can say that just to play the entire game through one chapter would give you 50 to 100 hours of gameplay. And you can replay all the campaigns with each chapter. An immense replayability value on the game, and it's 10 times as much as we came with in the original board game. Add to that all the weapons, Gene Stealer variations, new rules, and we think that we have a great package. We're really happy to give you this opportunity to play Space Hulk Ascension and take a look at what some of the guys have been working on further on now in this video. And until next time, bye.
Hey guys, I'm Adrian, technical artist at Full Control, and today I want to show you a few of the weapon effects that we've been working on. So over my screen we have the Storm Bolter, which shoots rapid fire of small explosible projectiles. And as you can see, compared to the previous version that we had in the first Space Hulk, the effect now is a lot more complex and a lot more violent. So just to show you a bit of a close-up, we can see the effect over here, and there's just a lot more fidelity and a lot more going on. We have muzzle flash, we have sparks, we have smoke trail. When the firing stops, there's some heavy smoke coming out from the barrels. So it's just a lot more complex, the entire effect. So another weapon effect I want to show you is the assault cannon, which looks something like this. And you can see again in the Ascension Edition, the effect is a lot more powerful and a lot more complex. Just to show you again, there's a lot more stuff going on. We have some really nice shells ejecting from the weapon. We have again a lot of sparks, a lot of bullet trails, and a lot of impact effects as well. So that was for me. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matthias Kirsten. I'm the 3D animator at Full Control. I've been working on the animations for Space Hulk Ascension, where we've pretty much reworked the entire animation system from the last Space Hulk. And this time we're making animations that are more intuitive for the animator, so we can make more violent, more bloody animations. And here's an example. We have a Terminator, we have a Gene Stealer, and they're facing off against each other. And there we have it, a Terminator defeating a Gene Stealer in a very Warhammer kind of way. So when I started making this animation, I wanted it to be very brutal, very unforgiving. I wanted to show that the Terminator really got the upper hand over the Gene Stealer. So he's like pounding him once, seeing that that didn't work, and he is not going to stop because he's a Terminator and he will kill this thing. So he just continues to pound it to the ground. When I'm working with animations, I usually try to think about these guys are very heavy. I'm not sure how much that armor he's wearing actually weighs, but I'm pretty sure it's like a small car or something. So they can't be like Jackie Chan jumping around and doing that kind of stuff. Even though I think that's cool, I can't do it in this game. So I'm thinking about the weight everything has. It's gonna be slow, and when a Terminator actually brings his hammer down in this way, if you do it fast, if he is doing it fast, that means that there's a lot of weight behind that, and that Gene Stealer is not going to survive it. Even though they're very slow and heavy, it's still a game, and we need to make sure that the animation is fast and fluent, so it's fun to play. So we also made sure that every walking animation, turning, transitioning between different types of animation is fast, so that every every time you're moving your character around, you're not going to sit around waiting for him to start moving. He's going to move instantly. We want it to feel very, very nice for the player to play. As a final note, I thought you would like to see some more cool animations. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy our game.
I hope you enjoyed this dev diary and are looking forward to the next one. You can find more information on our Facebook page or Twitter on our own website. Bye!